your on-air automotive magazine with co-hosts Fred Staab and Les Jackson.
Control.
Everything you need to know about new and used cars.
Control.
Industry news. We'll fix or repair your car on the air.
Control.
Fasten your seatbelts and let us take the wheel. Now, your ride is about to begin.
Control.
Because you're on cruise control. Cruise control. Cruise control.
Hey everybody, welcome to Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. It's us again. I'm Les Jackson. That guy over there is Fred Staab, and as usual, we have a bunch of stuff to talk to you about. It's all about cars, of course. Well, not necessarily cars. They could be pickup trucks. They could be SUVs, which is
crossovers. Yes.
Probably not a motorcycle.
No, we've talked about
Maybe.
them though before,
Maybe,
I believe.
yeah.
Yeah.
No bicycles that I know of.
Maybe not a bicycle.
But we do have a lot on passenger vehicles. And first one up is about Mercedes, right, Fred?
Yeah, that's right, Les. We talked about this, that they were going to stick around with the S-Class as their premium top-of-the-range vehicle. And people wonder, well, what's happening to their electric top-of-the-range vehicle, the EQS? Well, it's not only sticking around, but it is getting upgraded. So we'll tell you about all those upgrades.
Yep. Slick-looking car. And BMW is promising a deluge of 40
wow.
new vehicles by 2029. That's just, like 5.5 years. 40.
That is pretty amazing. That is pretty amazing. And the Battery King, the self-described electric car battery king, says solid-state batteries are unsafe, but his batteries are plenty safe. So
I see. Okay.
We'll talk about that.
We shall. And Corvette Summer. That was a movie, wasn't it?
It sure was, with a right-hand drive Corvette in it, modified, yes.
I never saw the movie. Anyway, the twin-turbo ZR1 is on its way.
Yeah, probably.
Just in time for summer.
Yeah, probably revealed in the summer. Horsepower probably around 800, they say.
Oh, well, I'm sure it's peppy.
It will be peppy. It will be peppy, and you'll look good going down the road in it for sure. And then we're going to look back at Mustang. Well, all kinds of Mustangs, because the 1964 Mustang made a dream attainable for hundreds of thousands of people when it was unveiled for the first time. And, of course, we're looking at some different Mustangs right there. But it was revealed at the World's Fair, and it kind of made the dream of sporty car a reality for many people. Well, we're going to celebrate the Mustang's legacy, 60 years of Mustang. How are they going to celebrate it? Well, Ted Ryan, Ford's Archives and Brand Heritage Manager, looks at how they will do this celebration of the Diamond anniversary. So that is coming up on Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. We'll be right back.
Cruise Control.
And welcome back to Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. Fred Staab and Les Jackson, we are glad you are with us because we've got a lot to talk about. And you and I have been talking about Mercedes, how they have gone from, well, we're going to go all electric to, well, now maybe the S-Class will stick around with an internal combustion engine. And people ask, what's happening to their electric flagship, the EQS? What's going to go on with it? Well, it's going to get updated with a new revised front fascia, new grille design, Mercedes Standing Star. They're bringing them back, the Standing Star
Yeah,
hood
they
ornaments.
should.
And AMG line bumper and a larger 118 kilowatt battery for improved range. And good looking vehicle. It really is. This is one of those vehicles where you can recline in the back. They give you a pillow. Of course, it's got the complete screen on the dash. It is just one big screen. Certainly, I think the two can coexist, don't you? The EQS and the S-Class?
Oh, yeah. I mean, and having driven former EQSs, I have to say, as you no doubt have also experienced, they are, I'd say, a very high level of pleasant.
Yeah, high level of pleasant, yes.
Yeah.
It's kind of a pleasing shape, very aerodynamic.
Yeah.
Did you have the M-Bucks Hyper screen in yours?
I don't think so, but
Where it was
boy, I tell you, it was a real nice week for comfort.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just you're afraid kind of to park it in like the grocery store a lot for fear somebody will scratch it up. But
Yeah. Yeah.
other than that,
yeah, it's good. It's good to see the hood ornament come back. I mean, let's remember a lot of those went away because of pedestrian safety, and
that's right.
so I guess they found a way to bring it back, right?
I think it probably bounces in any direction and can't hurt you. Of course, I dare say that a bunch of thieves are going to relish ripping one off.
Yeah, they used to just pull them up and cut the little spring off. Yes,
Yeah,
you're right.
that happened to me about 20 years ago when I had a Mercedes. I was testing it, and somebody teenager probably just ripped the star right off.
Wow. Well, that's not good. That's not good. But anyway, that's the new EQS, and we'll have more information when it becomes available. But Mercedes is updating, and another brand that's going to be updating less is BMW, right? You have a story on BMW because they are doing a massive launch of new vehicles, and they're not all electric either.
Well, no, a lot of EVs. They say they'll be outrageous, but
outrageous.
Outrageous, but their investment in combustion engines will continue, including the V8.
Wow.
And what I like is they're evaluating the mini Aceman EV,
right,
for potential introduction into the U.S. I kind of hope they do that.
Yeah, I think that would be cool. Things like next gen X3, X5, and more. And the V8 is not dead. They're going to be showing the 2025 BMW M5 Touring, which is going to serve as their buzz vehicle, as they say. Be powered from a V8 from the BMW XM. So it's pretty cool, isn't it?
Yeah, and refreshed 2 Series Grand Coupe.
Wow.
A lot of stuff. I mean, that is just a huge lineup for very few years, but they're a no nonsense company.
Yeah. And having fresh content is the key. I mean, we've talked about other companies not having any any new content for a long time, and the BMW is really going at it. BMW and Rimac, of course, Rimac does hyper electric vehicles. And where are they based? They're based in one of the Eastern European companies, I believe.
Yeah, it's not Czechoslovakia. Yes, it is.
All right. Well,
and sign on the factory says Richard
Hammond
can't drive one.
Yeah, he's not allowed. One dealer said companies like Tesla should be shaking in their boots because BMW's electric stuff is outrageous. So We'll talk
I
about
am
it
inclined to believe that.
when we come back on Cruise Control.
Cruise control.
Welcome back to Cruise Control. We have to talk to you about your batteries.
It's a little talking tech segment.
Yes, a little talking tech, and this is the world's largest battery manufacturer is now calling solid state batteries technologically unsafe. And actually, I will say he's got some pretty good arguments.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He's the CATL CEO, Dr. Robin Zing. CATL is Contemporary Amperex Technology Company Limited.
Okay. He is also known by some as the Battery King.
Battery King, and he's been involved in this for many years.
They have 36% of the batteries worldwide.
Yeah, that's a
EV
lot.
batteries worldwide. So that's pretty impressive, right?
Yeah. So he's been investing, he says, in solid state batteries for 10 years, and despite this, he doesn't see it as commercially viable. And this is his argument. I have to say, from a physics standpoint, he's got an argument. It's a new kind of chemistry that uses pure lithium metal, and under extreme pressure, like when the batteries expand during charging, the lithium in these batteries would react with oxygen, and if the battery's pierced, it releases lithium hydroxide, which will poison everyone in the car.
Well, there you go.
I don't like that.
No, I would see that as a negative. I mean, he's proposing his sodium ion technology as a sort of a semi-solid battery. He says that's where the focus should be in the battery industry.
Well, it's a whole lot less technologically complex as the solid state. Another thing he says about the solid state is that it can't last many charging cycles. Well, it seems to me that's a deal breaker right there.
Yeah. Now, it's not to say it won't improve and there won't be new discoveries either, but this is just what he's saying. Yet other manufacturers like BMW and Toyota are saying that they will have solid-state battery-powered vehicles out by 2027, even if in small numbers. I mean, the benefit of solid-state, what Toyota proposed was 10-minute charging gets you 600 miles of range. That would be a game changer,
Yes.
wouldn't it?
That would be a game changer.
It's like 2 tanks of gas, basically, in 10 minutes.
Right. And but what happens if the battery has to be replaced after 5 or 6 years? Well, I guess they'll just guarantee them.
Yeah. Well, I also don't think they would put something out that wouldn't run for at least 100,000 miles.
I don't either. I mean, they do test these things.
Yeah.
A lot.
I just think there's going to be tons of technology battery-wise coming along, and I think somebody will make it work. They will make it work. That's the great thing about industry. If there's money in it to be made, they'll make it work. And I've always said that if you want something fixed, make it that someone can make money fixing it, and then then you'll get your problem fixed.
Exactly.
I just think that's the best way to do it. And, a lot of automakers, Nissan, Honda, Volkswagen, Ford, among others, are looking at solid-state batteries. So I would not think I would move away from that. I mean, one of the key things, I think, and the CEO of Stellantis said this, they have to make them lighter. I mean, when you have
They sure do.
the new Dodge Charger weighing as much as a Escalade SUV, you've gotta lighten it up, right? Hey, lighten
Well,
up.
you do. I mean, yes, by literally, you got to lighten up.
Like 1,000 pounds,
because
maybe, right?
it's all that nice handling is no good when you've got 6,000 pounds of centrifugal force acting against you in a turn. So yeah, I mean they want to do this. This is where the industry's going. And one thing about the car industry, they solve problems pretty well.
Yeah, absolutely. You get an engineer on it, and
Yeah, or 100 engineers.
yeah, exactly. Hey, Corvette Summer. We talked about this. GM promises the unthinkable is coming. I don't think this is too unthinkable, but
I don't think so.
basically what they're talking about is the ZR1. It looks to be revealed this summer, and they put out a teaser video. It will have a twin turbo. From reports, this is not official. From reports, it will have a twin turbocharged LT7 engine. So basically, the Z06 flat plane crank howling engine will get twin turbochargers and put out somewhere around 800 horsepower. Of course, that's all people are talking about this, and just, the sources, informed sources are saying this. And some people are upset it won't be supercharged, but there's nothing wrong with turbocharging, is there?
Well, the problem with supercharging is that you have to use horsepower to turn the supercharger.
Right.
And a lot of it. Whereas the turbocharger is a scavenger. So and 800 horsepower is, I think, a substantial amount of horsepower.
And they're going higher than that too. There's going to be a Zora.
Sure.
So really, basically, what the Zora will be the E-Ray with the ZR1 engine. If you think about it, you got to look at it as modular blocks. You got the Stingray. The E-Ray is the Stingray with the electric motor. The Z06 has the LT7 engine. The ZR1 will have the LT7 engine with twin turbochargers, and then the Zora will probably have the LT7 twin turbocharged with the E-Ray drive hybrid
like
motors up front,
horsepower,
something like that. Our friend Taj Juchter said he drove something, which he didn't say what it was, but he said, I never thought I would be building a mass production vehicle with this much horsepower.
Yeah.
He said he didn't think that would ever be done. So, so we'll call that Corvette Summer. But we are right now getting ready to celebrate a Mustang April because the 60th anniversary. Oh, of course. I mean, you talk about innovation. I mean, it made a sports car available to the masses, right?
I was there at the time. I didn't have any money, but I was there at the time, and it was, this was Lee Iacocca and the rest of his people in marketing kept convincing the higher ups that the baby boom was starting to come of age. And they wanted something very sporty and affordable. And boy, did Ford come across with it. It was it's a legend in the industry. Nothing has ever come even a fraction as close as the Mustang to just bringing millions of people into the showrooms.
Yeah, and
it was so cool.
We're going to have Ted Ryan on. Of course, he is the Ford Archives and Heritage brand manager, and I have to ask him a question because this has been produced, the Mustang's been produced for 60 years without a break. Yep. Is that the only vehicle that's been produced that long? The only other thing I can think of would be the Volkswagen Beetle. that would be up there.
Well, but there was a break.
There was a break, yeah, and that. So
there was a break.
We'll get Ted on it when we come back on Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. Stay tuned because we're talking Mustang 60th anniversary. Hard to believe. We'll be right back. And welcome back to Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. Fred Staab and Les Jackson, and we are going to be joined by Ted in just a minute. Ted Ryan is going to be calling in, and we will talk Mustang, Les, and I think Ted is back with us. Hey, Ted, how you doing?
Doing great. Can everybody hear me now?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Welcome, Ted.
Yeah, welcome, Ted. Ted Ryan, of course, is Ford Archives and Heritage Brand Manager. Ted, we have to talk about your website because I was using it. It is great, and we pulled up a lot of great images from your website. Tell people what it is again so they can go there because it's open to the public. It's not just journalists.
It is.
Right?
It's open and free to the public. It is the FordHeritageVault.com. So all one word, run together, FordHeritageVault.com. We launched it in June 2 years ago, so it's just under 2 years old. And I think the first time I spoke to you guys about it, we only had 5,000 assets in it, photos and brochures. We're up over 17,000 now. And you're showing some of the amazing concept cars. So we've added concept cars. We've added the Ford Times magazine. We've added cars from England and Australia. And it is free and open to download. Guys, the numbers will blow you away. We just last week had our 20 millionth search take place, and we're over 10 million downloads. So,
I think some of those were me last night, Ted, getting this.
We account for quite a few of those.
If you build it, they will come. But honestly, it was a gift from Ford Motor Company to the fans of Ford, and I'm excited to see it taken advantage of. So I love to see those stats up like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And what we brought you on for, since you know everything about Ford, is to celebrate the Mustang. Now, what's planned for the celebration, the 60th anniversary of the Mustang? What's in the works?
There's a couple of cool things that are happening. One of them is a virtual thing. You'll be able to, 7th generation Mustang owners can celebrate with an exclusive new feature coming to their cars. It's going to be one of the, with the over-the-air updates and things like that, you can actually modify the way that your screen looks. So if you've got a new 7th generation, you're going to be able to get a 60th edition throwback screen where you can choose between a Fox body screen, one of the old ones like that, or if you want a Gen 1 screen. So you'll be able to celebrate being able to find that. Also, if you go to Ford.com, now you can get a sneak peek of the new 60th edition Mustang that was just released this week, some of the images. And for any of your fans in the Southeast or listeners in the Southeast, please go to Charlotte Motor Speedway on April the 17th. We're going to do one of those kind of parties that only Ford knows how to do, where you're going to be able to get track rides. You're going to get custom view of the new 60th edition. You're going to be able to get access to a whole lot of really fun stuff at Charlotte Motor Speedway on the 17th. There's a website, so you'll need to Google Charlotte Motor Speedway Mustang 60, and you can get a registration link to be able to do that. And one more that I'm going to be at, your West Coast listeners, go to Fabulous Fords on Sunday the 21st, and we're going to have what we hope is going to be one of the largest collection of Mustang owners at one place at one time. We're expecting over 1,200 Mustangs at the Fabulous Fords event in Los Angeles on the 21st. Whew, that's a lot of stuff.
That's a lot.
That is a lot. And many of us, many listeners, and including me, have owned Mustangs. I've owned two 65s. And, it's part of America of the past 60 years.
It is.
I dare say very few people. Yeah, I bet very few people have not at least ridden in one.
It's one of the few nameplates that transcends what it was and it became something bigger.
Yeah.
It started as, and Carroll Shelby called it derisively, a secretary's car, and it could be. 43% of all the cars sold the first 2 years were sold to women. So, and I'm going to date myself, and y'all may know it as well. But if you remember the opening scene of Mary Tyler Moore when she throws her hat in the air, what car did she get out of?
Yeah.
She got out of a first
Yeah.
generation Mustang.
Yep.
So, but with Shelby giving it some modifications, and with Ford, you're showing some beautiful hatchbacks, and that's the Mach 1 up there. So, with the way that it transformed itself over time, it's become the car for every generation. Whether you want a muscle car today, or you can get a V4 EcoBoost today that still has lots of power, but is friendly to the wallet.
Yeah, that is a fun car. I've driven that. That is is certainly. It seems like someone dubbed in the soundtrack. You think it should be a V8 sound there, but but it's a performance 4-cylinder, and it is a fun car to drive. So let's take us back 60 years ago. We were alluding to it a little bit before you came on. They realized, at Ford that, hey, you can have a sporty car, you can sell it affordably, and you can make money doing it.
I heard y'all on the intro when I was still off air, and you were 100% correct. Lee Iacocca stood up at the press event, which was actually April 13th. It was a couple of days before the actual public reveal of the vehicle. And he basically gave a demographic lesson on the baby boomers. He talked about the increased number of 2-income families, the increased number of women in the workforce, the younger college-educated generation, and that Ford had specifically designed a vehicle for that younger generation. And they did, and it was amazing. And the reception was insane. They actually called it Mustang Mania at the time, with people visiting dealerships just to try to get a glimpse of what one looked like. Iacocca was a marketing genius. He also had letters sent to many of the colleges telling the graduating seniors that a Mustang might look pretty nice as a graduation gift.
Wow.
There's a famous story in South Bend, Indiana, where a bunch of seniors from Notre Dame descended on the South Bend dealership, all trying to get to talk to parents into graduation gifts, all clutching this letter from Ford. And it worked. We sold 425,000 the first year and 1 million the first 2 years. So it created a tsunami of interest that was paid off in the fact that this younger generation got their car. My dad got one. I've got a great picture of me and Dad washing his car in 1969, and it's a Generation 1 66 springtime yellow. Not one of your more
Yes.
Great color, but not too many people had it. And we're washing his 2-door Mustang, and I'm 5 years old.
Wow, that is a great memory for sure. That definitely. Now, as everything, as anything, including humans, as it went on, there was a time where it got a lot bigger, didn't it? In the 70s. And I still like this body style. It's probably one of the less popular ones, but I still think it looks kind of cool today.
It looks cool. To me, it took on Mercury vibes, but it still became what it was. And a woman wrote Lee Iacocca a pretty famous letter where she said it looked like the Mustang had gotten pregnant. It had gotten too big. But I think you can see Shelby's hand in this too. And then where the Mustang 2, there we go.
Right, the least popular one. I still think it was a decent looking car for its time.
It was a very attractive car. Yeah.
And it saved Mustang. Keep in mind, everything has to have context, and the oil crisis was in full bloom. People are running from bigger cars, these gas guzzlers like you were showing once the Mustangs got bigger. And the Mustang 2 preserved the Mustang name because it brought in a fuel-efficient but still sporty look. I actually like it. I had a Mercury Capri, which was very similar in look and feel to the Mustang 2.
Yeah, I remember it.
Too.
I remember they were featured. There was 2 of them on Charlie's Angels. Someone had the Cobra, which had gigantic call-out stickers on the side, and another one had sort of the notchback, I guess you call it. But
we're working with the Farrah Fawcett Foundation. To raise money for cancer, and we've been providing a bunch of behind-the-scenes images from the ad shoot and some other information, and they're going to package it together to do a Mustang Farrah Fawcett charity auction piece that will go to benefit her charity. So excited to work with her on that. It's a pretty cool car, and to see Farrah Fawcett lying over the hood doesn't hurt the ad at all.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt the ad.
Yeah,
No.
not a bit. Not a bit.
Yeah. And then
and of course,
go on.
You know, James Bond had one in Goldfinger. Somehow that slipped into the movie. I can't imagine how that might have happened.
That slipped into the movie. I'll lift the curtain on that one a little bit. Albert Broccoli, the producer, was good friends with Henry Ford II, and requested a Mustang specifically via Walter Hayes, who ran the PR division for Ford of England. And they sent it to Alan Mann Racing. So we're going to go really in the weeds. And Alan Mann Racing had to make modifications to it because it was a pre-production model and the radio antenna was on the wrong side. And they had to make some other changes, but they got it on the screen. That car's missing, by the way, guys. We've been looking for it for the past year. I've been working with the Ian Fleming Foundation, who had most of the cars that were used in those Bond movies. Ian Fleming wrote James Bond, for those that don't know. And they are madly looking for that car. They think they found it, but we can't prove the VIN number. So,
all right. Well, we'll talk more great Mustang stories just like that when we come back on Cruise Control. I'm Fred Staab. He's Les Jackson. He is Ted Ryan, and we will be right back. Ted, if we'll just chat during the break here.
You've got an Emmy over your shoulder, and I've got an Emmy over my shoulder.
We're a match set there. it's the
Les, where's yours?
Well, you know, actually, I've got something here from Mustang. Where is it? Where is that?
Yeah,
well, I'm glad we got all the 60th anniversary stuff out of the way at the beginning, because I don't know how many of your listeners are going to be in Charlotte or LA. But they were the PR.
Cruise Control.
And welcome back to Cruise Control. We are talking Mustang, 60 years of Mustang, and Ted Ryan is with us from Ford. Ted, you wanted to tell us a little bit about some of those events that are coming up for Mustang.
I did, and I messed up on the date on the one in Charlotte. The date is Wednesday, April the 17th, not the April the 18th, and it's from 2 to 7. And there's some cool stuff. I'm looking over here because I'm reading, but hot laps and drifting, full Mustang lineup, top Ford racing drivers, an owner's car show. And they're expecting almost 1,000 cars to show up, guys, by the way. Mustang racing lineup and live entertainment. So correct your calendars, and it's Wednesday the 17th, not Thursday the 18th. And there is a website that you have to go to register to be able to attend, but it is free to the public.
Yeah, yeah. We were talking Mustangs throughout the years. Fox Body, of course, shared the platform with the Ford Fairmont, and this is a super popular I think, platform for Ford, because a lot of drag racers like it, and it lasted for a long time. And to me, that's when Mustang started to get interesting again. You know, the horsepower numbers started to climb.
It did. It's funny, too, because it was much maligned for a while. People hated the look of the Fox Body. That's not really a Mustang, but you're right on the horsepower. And you began to get some of the special editions like the California Special, and there was a famous police interceptor.
Yep.
That actually in its ad it said this car can run down a Porsche, which I always thought was a clever way to sell a car. But you're selling them to the police, but it also has the power. And we did a Fox Body reunion with a bunch of the designers last year around the time of Woodward Dream Cruise, and it was great to see all those Fox Bodies lined up out on Woodward Avenue.
Yeah. It's as I say, popular with drag racers, and just to me, I remember that a lot, because it was like the slow but steady return of horsepower numbers, and you know, things got a little bit more interesting than they were in the past. But and then, I mean, we can jump the calendar way up to today. Things are very interesting in 2025. Futuristic styling, and but of course still retro. I mean, still has a lot of retro cues, but the interior, of course, is very, very different, isn't it?
It is. The interior's difference in the technology that underlays everything is completely different. At the very beginning, I was talking about the ability to transform your dash into a new one because it feels, and this is by design, it feels more like a cockpit than it does you're sitting in a car dealing with dials and levers. It's supposed to be a cockpit to give you the total freedom to be able to change the view the way you want it. The the engine itself, where the Dark Horse in particular offers an incredibly powerful V8. And I will call out the fact that Jim Farley said a couple of weeks ago that Mustang will always come in a V8 variant. As long as we're building Mustangs, you're going to be able to get your V8 there. But it looks beautiful to me. I was fortunate enough to be at the introduction to it, and I've ridden in a Dark Horse. It's a powerful car, but it's a beautiful car at the same time.
Yeah, yeah, and still, you know, as you say, I mean, the Camaro is gone, the Charger's electric. This is the only, I'll call it affordable, or well, I think we can say affordable compared to.
You can get affordable, yeah. If you get a V4 EcoBoost, they're still quite affordable.
Yeah.
Starting right at the bottom of the range that you'd expect for a sports car, which is frankly why it's becoming the best-selling sports car in America and soon the world. It's also getting a worldwide footprint for the first time. I don't know if that was in the release that they sent you, but it's being offered more extensively in Europe. It's being offered now in China. I was just in Australia 2 weeks ago, and there was a meeting of the Mustang Collectors Club there, and it's being offered on a larger basis in Australia. It also, and this is amazing to me, today, Saturday, everywhere in the world, a Mustang will be racing on each continent in some variant or some form, because Mustang has gone back to racing in a big way. Most people don't know it, but the very first race it ever won was the Tour de France in, I believe, July of 1964, just a few months after it was introduced. It won the 10-day Tour de France endurance race. Yeah. So it's got a long heritage of racing. And, you know, we're getting back to our roots with it. Look for it at Le Mans this year. It's become the racehorse, for lack of a better pun, for Ford Motor Company.
It really is an affordable car. I mean, I know they're not cheap, but I think if you carried the original price of a Mustang with a V8 forward 60 years, it's about the same price.
About the same. There's a funny story in that one too, Les, is that the original Mustang was priced at $23,688 FOB Detroit. You got to say FOB Detroit, and right, which that equates to about $20,000 these days. But Ford, by intent, kept that price low, but they made most of their money. We made most of our money off the accessories. So by the time you added white walls and a V8 and a 4-speed manual and a radio cost you $11.
Wow!
You know, suddenly that price tag had edged from 23 up. The average sales price was closer to 2,900 with the accessories, and Ford is making more money off the accessories than they are off the car itself. So that 2,900 equates to about what the entry level Mustang would be today. So it's pretty close in comparison.
Is there probably at least optioned vintage Mustang out there? Probably. Is there one where the guy didn't pop for $11 for the radio and he got a blank off plate?
That is a funny question because I'm such a nerd. I didn't Google. I've got the files. 11,000 out of the first million Mustangs did not have a radio.
Wow.
And when I came across that, because we have a breakdown out of the first million, they broke it down on how many had white walls, how many had this, how many had, and 11,000 people didn't spring $11 for a radio in their car. I just can't conceive of why you wouldn't do that. But hey,
I mean, going back in time now, that people would do that just to make it super rare. But, you know, back then, I mean, it's a car you want to listen to the tunes in, don't you think, Les?
Well, yes, and I think I know the reason, Ted, is because I vividly remember in 1964, my father, for some reason, said, "Let's all go out to dinner this Saturday," and we went to a nice fish restaurant in D.C., and the bill for 4 people was $12.
So that does make sense.
So there you are.
We can have dinner for 4 people or a radio, but you get to
Or a
keep
radio.
the radio.
Yeah.
You get to keep the radio and use it over and over again, you know?
But just think it's AM only at that point too, so you're getting scratchy tunes at best. So Ford was making money. We owned Philco, so Philco made the radio, and then Ford sold it. So we got money on both ends. So we were pushing them.
Wow. Yeah. Interesting stuff. I mean, I'm sure we could. Any other good trivia stories? We got about a minute left there, Ted.
Were any sold without heaters?
That I don't know, Les. I didn't do that research. The only other trivia, and I can send you the memo, or I'll get John to send it. I don't think I have your email. We just came across a '67 memo from Lee Iacocca to Jacques Pisano, who was running Ford Racing, and he says, this is 1967, and he said it's critical that Mustang win every single race it enters, especially against Camaro. He said Mustang, not GT or Le Mans, is the flagship of Ford Motor Company. And I think that was so important then, and history's repeating itself. Mustang is the flagship of Ford Motor Company, and we're going back to Le Mans, and we're doing it in a Mustang.
Yeah, absolutely. And no pressure there, Jacques. You just have to win every race you enter.
Iacocca was not an undemanding manager.
That's a pretty big lift, I think, to say, hey, win every race that you enter. It's very important. Just remember this. So, Ted Ryan, we'll have to have you back. You're always great telling us what's going on. The man with the heritage right there at Ford. We appreciate it. It's time for me to say I'm Fred Staab.
I'm Les Jackson.
We're going to see you down the road.
All right.